So hello everyone. Welcome if you are new to the channel. Welcome back if you love me. I love you too. We're going to talk about this new moon in Sagittarius, okay? Now, this is what I'm looking at, y'all. Now, I personally have a 12th house Gemini, okay? I'm a Cancer rising, and I've got Lilith, Chiron, and other detrimental bullshit in there. I'm a little tech retarded. Okay? So I do things the old-fashioned way, like making my own backgrounds, because I don't know how to fuck to do green screen. And I print things out on paper because I don't know how to do screen share. So bear with me. This is the chart that I'm looking at. Okay. This is the new moon in Sag. And these are the transits that we're going to be talking about. Okay. Now, lucky for me, my Sag stellium gives me a astrological forte. Right, I might be tech retarded, but I know my stars. So, with this new moon, there's a lot going on because all of this shit right here, like all of these lines and everything going to that area is in fact the sun and moon conjunction in Sag. It's a 20 degrees Sag. It's aspecting on the nodes. It's having a conversation with them. It's also having a conversation between Neptune and Juno. And we've got a couple other random things going on that I want to address. And I am going to start with the bullshit first. And we're going to end on a good note. So get the rough news out first, okay? Get the rough news out first. I've got my Sagittarius mug too, by the way. Missy Lisa, thank you. It's late, but I had to have some coffee. So, first thing I want to talk about is some of these squares. Okay. Squares are challenges that we need to rise to. Okay. Oppositions are integrations that we have difficulty doing, but it has to be a conscious choice made to integrate those energies. Okay. Squares are very distractive challenges that we need to rise to. And there's a few of them. First square is definitely the T-square. Well, the T-squares going on from all of this Sun, Moon, Mars energy squaring Neptune and squaring Juno. Now, the Juno and Neptune opposition is a 6 degree wide opposition, so it's not extremely tight, but Juno's moving closer and closer to that 24 degree mark to directly oppose Neptune. So this energy may feel increasingly more uncomfortable over the next few weeks. The Sun square Neptune. I'm going to break this down in pieces, okay? The Sun and Moon square Neptune. Because Mars is at 13 degrees. It's a little bit out of Mars's orb with that one. Mars is playing a bigger role with Juno. The Sun and Neptune square could create very high delusions of the self, okay? Delusions of grandeur, right, with the self. It could also, because it's Neptune in Pisces and the Sun in Sag, right? These are two very quote unquote religious or spiritually based signs. Major conflicts about what you've been taught, creed, and what you believe spiritually speaking. Okay, when I say spiritually speaking, I mean the integrity of the highest, the integrity of our soul, right? The one God, source, creator, whatever you want to call it, that we're connected to. If it doesn't feel good for the soul, it doesn't matter what you were taught, right? An example, because Sagittarius is more of the orthodox religion type energy, where Pisces is, and Neptune is more spiritual. Let's use the example of maybe you were taught, you know, Catholic Church, you get married, you don't get divorced, right? Divorce is not acceptable in the church, right? Creed, belief. You believe that it's bad to get divorced because that's what you were taught in your religion, right? But your spirit is so unhappy, your soul feels so suppressed and weighed down or depressed being in your marriage that you don't even want to be here anymore, right? And you're sticking it out because, you know, you got married in a church under God and divorce is a sin. But your soul is wildly unhappy, and your spirit would tell you, your soul would tell you that you are meant to be happy. You are not meant to be sad. You are not meant to feel depressed. You are not meant to feel suppressed, right? Your spirit would tell you to free yourself. Your connection to source energy wants you to be happy, right? It doesn't want you to punish the self. It doesn't want you to feel like you have to get locked into a choice you made when you were in your wounding or whatever, right? And so there might be conflict between creed that you were taught and your spiritual connection with the God source energy that's within you, right? You could also, like I said, be dealing with people or individuals, depending on where it falls in their chart, and yours, right? The synastry of it all, who are having delusions of grandeur, right? People who are sitting on some crazy high pedestal that they put themselves on and are looking down at everybody else and kind of commanding that they follow, right? When you have a Sag, Sun, Neptune, Pisces square, it's like almost borderline cult leader. Okay, you can have some really like psyched out fucking cult leader trying to get you into their whatever the fuck. Like, for real. Anybody who says they have all the fucking answers right now, follow me, save your soul, blah blah blah, like, it's one thing if it resonates with you wholeheartedly. But if you've got any kind of pings, like question marks going off, like something doesn't really seem right about that person or right about what they're saying, like something that they said like threw a wrench in it, like you might want to create some distance. I'm just saying, okay? You might want to create some distance. So this kind of energy, this kind of square, if you're going to rise to the challenge, you would have to renegotiate, right? Mutable energy shifts and changes. You would have to renegotiate your belief system in order to better suit your soul. Okay. If God loves me, right? And let's just say you're a religious person. If God loves me, God would not want me to be unhappy. I'm a good person, right? I'm a good person. I do right by other people. I'm a person of integrity. I'm a person of charity, right? I'm a good person, and God would not want me to suffer. And so maybe the church doesn't have it right, saying that I have to stay married to someone who is psychologically, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically abusive, right? Somewhere where I'm not happy and I'm feeling suppressed and don't care if I wake up anymore, right? God would want me to live. And so you have to renegotiate your creed, your belief system to better suit your soul, right? Feeling lighter and better and being proud of yourself, right? That you would free yourself from whatever quote unquote devil's prison that you've got yourself locked in, right? The way out of that square would be renegotiating your creed, renegotiating your belief system. You don't have to stay, right? Same thing. Like if you believe you have to stay together for the kids, you have to stay together for the kids. You have to stay together for the kids. Even if you're not a religious person, right? Maybe you believe in staying together for the kids. And it's important to keep the family together. You might need to renegotiate that if your kids are suffering, or if your kids are acting out, or if you are wildly depressed or upset and now your kids are starting to be that comfort person, right? And it's not their job as a child to make their grown adult parent feel better, right? You might need to renegotiate that belief and say, maybe it's better for my children to see me happy and stable and co-parent from a distance as opposed to living together, right? And maybe not staying together for the kids, but personally staying together in one piece because that's healthier for the kids, right? To witness a strong parent who's not going to tolerate being mistreated because you don't want them to grow up and tolerate being mistreated, right? Or to think that being sad with a partner is normal, right? You don't want to normalize that for them. So you might renegotiate your belief system, okay? The other square going on, or, before I even move on from that, the moon, because I talked about the sun square, but the fact that the moon is with it, really listen to your intuition, okay? Because what we're intuiting and what we're fantasizing about is two different things. We might intuitively know a relationship is not going to work out, but our La La Land delusions, right, Delulu world, would have us believe that they're our person and we're going to stick it out and live happily ever after. This is what we've always wanted. This is the dream. And really, you're wildly unhappy and your intuition is telling you there is no longevity here. It's not going to work out. But you're dead set on believing, the fantasy. So if you don't want to be wrong, now would be a really good time to humble yourself. Okay, and listen to your intuition. If your intuition is popping off red flags, this is not good. This is not healthy. This is not acceptable. This is not tolerable. This is not sustainable. Your intuition is letting you know something's off. It's not good. Please do not continue to convince yourself that, no, it'll get better. Like, stop. That square, the sun moon square, like you really cannot put your ego on such a pedestal that you're ignoring your intuition. Well, I want it to work out, so I'm just going to stay. Like, on a real note, if your intuition is telling you that you probably need to let this go, please don't drag it out all the way to the fucking finish line. Like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like I gave the analogy earlier this week. It's like playing a game of chess and someone has taken all but two of your pieces off the board. You got two pieces left and they have all their fucking pieces. Can you win the game? Maybe. What are the odds of you winning the game? Slim to fucking none. Concede. You know what? You win. You've got all of your pieces still on the board. I've got two pieces left on the board. I'm running around blocking all of your aggressive moves to take me out. Like I'm just running around blocking, running around dodging the inevitable, which is I'm going to lose the game, right? So it's kind of like that. Like if you know already your intuition is telling you the game is lost, please don't make someone play it all the way to the end. It's really fucking annoying and it is inevitable. So just let it go. If it's not in your highest good, it's not in your highest good. If it's meant to come back in, it'll come back in. If you're meant to play another game, you'll play another game with them. But for the love of all that is good. If you're already in a losing game, just respectfully concede. There is nothing wrong with saying, you know what, you win, good game. And dropping it. Move on with your life while you still got a couple extra years. You know what I mean? Like, if you could leave something now, and let's just say hypothetically you're 36. Why stretch it until you're 46 to lose anyway? Get your 10 years and do something great with them. Why would you want to dip and dodge around a chessboard trying to avoid the inevitable loss for 10 fucking years? You don't get that time back. Like call a spade and let it be a day. Listen to your intuition. Don't get hung up on some delusion. Especially if you've coupled that delusion with a belief system, right? The sun and moon conjunction. Stop telling yourself or making excuses for something that's not right. Now, the square from Mars to Juno that is connected with the sun moon energy, right? Because Juno's at 18 degrees Virgo. Juno in Virgo is married to the meticulous attention to detail. They really do want it perfect. With Mars there, it can be an obsession with perfection in the square. It can be so married and so committed to making something perfect that you don't know when to stop working on it. Okay? You don't know when to stop working on it. It's like, we'll use the analogy of an artist who has painted a portrait. And if they had stopped painting like 5 hours ago, the painting would have been perfect. But they kept nitpicking and they kept nitpicking and they kept nitpicking and they kept painting over this and painting over that, to where now you just got a bunch of like chunked thick paint on the canvas. It's would have been better 5 hours ago. You got to know when to stop painting. You know, you got to know when to stop creating something and just let it be perfect the way it is. Sometimes you just have to let it go and walk away and stop obsessing over it for a while. Go back to it in a couple days. Right? Maybe you don't know what it is that's off about it. You're looking at it and you're looking at it and you're looking at it and something's off and you can't pinpoint it and you're trying to fix this and fix that and fix this and fix that and you still can't figure out what's wrong with it. Your eye's not catching it. And it's like, why are you spending all of this time and resource trying to fix little things here and there and you don't even know what the actual problem is? Walk away from it for a couple days. Take a step back, separate yourself, then revisit it. Look at it with fresh eyes. Sleep on it. You know, the Mars Juno square is going to want to fix it all now, make it perfect now, because they don't see how it's going to benefit the future just being the way it is. Let's make it perfect now. Let's fix it now. Like, God help you all if you're dealing with spouses, because Juno is technically the divine feminine, right? It's a divine feminine asteroid. She represents marriage and things like that. So, you know, if you're dealing with a spouse and you want to fix it right now, fix it right now. And tempers are starting to, you know, get irritated and they're starting to flare. And people are getting aggressive, right? That Mars energy, and they just want people to shut the fuck up, or they're saying things outlandish, right? Just blurting shit the fuck out. Like, stop trying to make it better by blurting shit out. Blurting shit out, like, take it from a Sag, y'all. Blurting shit out sometimes it's just not going to fucking help you. Not when we got squares like that. Not when you've got someone meticulous, right? This meticulous energy who wants things to be perfect. Married to the perfection. Because there's some cause, right? There's some purpose behind it. There's some greater service, right? Some good intention. Always starts with a fucking good intention, right? There's some good intention and you just want to make it perfect so that you can all just continue on perfectly. Like, sometimes you really do just need to let it fucking go. It is okay if the laundry is still in the fucking hamper for 3 days and it hasn't gotten fucking put up yet. It fucking happens. It's the holidays. People get busy. It is Sag season. Kids are fucking bonkers. You know, like, it happens. It happens. Maybe the time you would have spent putting the laundry up, that half an hour you spent in fucking traffic, you know, because holidays. Why do y'all think every year around the holidays that traffic is fucking nuts? Because the sun is in Sag and Mercury isn't that far away from the sun. Mercury in Sag is travel problems. every year, right? Every year leading up to the holidays, traffic is fucking horrendous. People drive like fucking maniacs. And that's why. It's fucking Mercury at detriment, Sag. I digress. Please allow yourself some patience. If you really want to get on the positive side of this energy, do remember the purpose that you are truly committed to and take actions in alignment with making it better. Things that are within your control, things that you can take the lead on. Instead of telling someone else to take out the trash, if it's bothering you, it's a you problem, you fix it. Take the lead on things. Take the lead on things. The Mars energy that's being disposited in Sagittarius from Aries, got Chiron over there, North Node over there. Like, please don't let your own victim mentality. No one is helping me. I'm doing everything myself. Like, sometimes you just got to do shit yourself because other people are doing shit. And sometimes that other shit is self-care. Sometimes that other shit is self-care. Sometimes people are not great with handling stress. They need 20 minutes to fuck off in the bathroom. Sometimes they need half an hour to go outside and chain smoke a few. They're not taking out the trash right now. They're stressed out dealing with their self-care. The best they have learned how. So cut them a break. If the trash is bothering you, you take it out. Right? Kind of energy. If you have this to get done, and this to get done, and this to get done, and you legit can't get it all done, just be like, listen, talk to so-and-so. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's one of your kids. Maybe it's your roommate. Who the fuck knows? Be like, listen, these 3 things need to get done. I don't mind doing this and this. Can you work on this one? They'll be like, yeah, no problem. I could do that. All right, cool. Can you get it done while I'm doing this? Sure, just give me 5 minutes. Let me wrap this up. Awesome. Right? And if people get confused or people get delayed or people get distracted, side note it and let it go for now. Side note it and let it go. Let it get done in its own fucking time then. Leave a little note on the fridge. Hey, don't forget this. I had to go to sleep. I have to wake up early if I'm going to pay rent. Right, I got to go to work. Please make sure it gets done. They'll do it. They said they would. You leave a little note. You're not getting on their case and yelling at them and being all up in their grill. Like, they'll appreciate that you left a reminder in the note. 3 strikes, you're out. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's I got to tell you 3 fucking times, and you said you would 3 fucking times, and it still ain't done. Yo, get the fuck off your ass. What are you doing? I could find a better roommate. Like, just saying. You didn't like that truth bomb? All right. You need a new roommate. You can't handle Sag. It is what it is. I make no apology. So, but that's kind of the deal. Like, you really do have to be able to take initiative and not feel like a victim. Right? Not feel like a victim, to just know that you're in a space and other people are in a space where they're working on their own selves, and maybe spirit is helping you learn to take initiative. Maybe for them it's learning how to focus on themselves, right, and their own needs. Maybe they haven't always been good at that, right? So be patient with people. Sag in its light is very patient. Mars and Aries, not so much. Mars and Aries energy in general is a act first, think about it later. Right? Just do it and then think about it later. Right? We'll deal with the repercussions after, but right now just do it. Just get it done. And you really need to apply the light of the Sagittarian sun, patience, allowing things time to alchemize, right? Instead of being the jump on it, down someone's throat, aggressor type energy, maybe just be the catalytic fire, right? That helps the transmutation happen, right? That helps the alchemy happen instead of burning it to cinders, which Sag is also really fucking good at. I don't know if there's a sign better at burning bridges than Sag. Then Sag. So don't burn any bridges. You know, don't burn any bridges. It could be really tempting in the pursuit of perfection and not letting it go to reach a point of a bridge burning. And if you really don't want to burn a bridge, then please know when to walk away. Sometimes you really need to walk away and just shut the fuck up. You know, like sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just have to. You can't be interrupting other people and being aggressive with other people and trying to control, right? Mars and its shadow can be very controlling. Sometimes you need to know when to just shut the fuck up and walk away. Come back to it after things have cooled off and you have a little more patience with each other, right? Allow people to think about what has already been said and transpired and let them think on it a little bit more, okay? Before you dive back into things. Try and hold compassion for other people who have wounds that they don't understand, right? No different than you have wounds that you don't understand. This pursuit of perfection is futile. Okay. It is. It's futile. You can only look to improve your state of being to where you feel more at peace and happier and more stable today than you did yesterday, right? More happy and stable and at peace in this moment than you did a moment ago. Take care of yourselves and maybe take the focus off of what other people need to improve and really focus on how you can improve and what is within your control instead of what's not within your control. I think that would be the best way to get through those squares. Because the opposition, right, those two challenges, the T-square that the Sun, Moon, and Mars are making to Neptune and Juno, that opposition, right, that's going to be building and getting more tight over the upcoming days. Juno and Virgo opposed Neptune in Pisces. The best integration of that light is to focus on the perfection of your own soul and taking the steps that you need to take in order to do that, in order to be your ideal energy, in order to feel best, right? Because the soul is happiest when we feel good. And it's very creative and artistic, right? Piscean energy. And so it would probably behoove you as if to really get into your creative center. Maybe you do need to go and do some paint. Maybe you want to write some poetry, right? Maybe you need to get your thoughts out. And instead of taking it out on another person, maybe you need to journal, right? Maybe you need to start writing it out. Maybe you need to doodle a little bit, right? Maybe you need to go outside and make some fucking snow angels because you haven't done that since you were a kid. Maybe without even telling anybody else in the house, you just go and get your fucking snow clothes on and you go outside and you just start making fucking snow angels. And they're all looking at you like, what the fuck are you doing? You just be like, I'm just making snow angels. You want to make one? Just go be outside in nature, right? You got a fire pit, go outside and make a fucking bonfire. You got old shit from your exes that you need to burn. Well, this would be a great time. This would be a great time if you're holding on to old stuff, right? Old memories, old whatever. And it's time to let it go, like new moon and Sag. If you've got new goals, new visions, and the past is gone, right? Old best friends, old things, you just need to let go of the fucking energy. Because every time you look at it, as much as you enjoy the memory that it brings up specifically, maybe the memory on the whole is not that great, right? Pisces talks about a complete cycle. Virgo looks at a detail. But Pisces looks at the whole cycle, right? It's the last sign of the zodiac. So if you're looking at a detail of something, right, an item, a single memory in the midst of a whole cycle, maybe that memory was a good one, but maybe on the whole, the memory of that person every time you see that item fucking sucks. Maybe it's time to throw it in the fire pit. You know, I'm just saying. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time you let it go and stop doing that to yourself. Keep your good memories inside your mind. What you are meant to remember, you'll remember. And what you're meant to forget, you'll forget. You got to close out the cycle, though. Right? Wish them well. Be grateful for the memories as you let it go. And be free of it. Right? Sagittarius is a sign of freedom, optimism, future-oriented sight, right? Hitting goals, creating goals. It's a visionary. So let the old energy go, right? Pull the arrow back and shoot for something else. If you're in the shadow, if you're in the shadow of that opposition and you're struggling to integrate it, you're probably putting repressed wounds or keeping secrets from people you are partnered with. And it's probably showing up in your inability to do certain things as a team together. It is probably showing up as your inability to commit to simple everyday tasks. So if you are struggling with this opposition, right, and you're having a hard time with the integration, letting the past go, it could be really petty, and it could also show up as escapism, right? Whether that escapism is disappearing on the phone and doing things that aren't bettering your reality in any way. Like, it's great if you want to talk to your friend on the phone, but if you talk to your friend for 2 hours and the dishes don't get done, well, that's not really conducive to your everyday life, right? Because now the dishes are just piling up in the sink. They're dirty. They might start to smell. They might draw bugs. Like, you got to tell your friend, hey, listen, I can do 20 minutes, or, you know, I could talk to you on the phone, but I'm going to be doing the dishes while we're talking. You know what I mean? And kind of keep it going, because if you're not in alignment, you're going to try and be escaping your everyday tasks. Whether that is being on the phone for too long, or going out, or drinking, or other kind of substances, right? Because Pisces is known as escapism. There could definitely be heavy alcohol, or pills, or whatever the fuck y'all do. Okay, it's not healthy if you go escape into porn for 4 fucking hours and your dog has to go outside and go to the bathroom. You know, like, you have to remember your priorities. If you're not taking care of your everyday tasks, your everyday responsibilities, and you're going off in escapes, right, then you're not in alignment. You're kind of bombing that integration. You know what I mean? You really got to be in alignment with it. So remember that making sure your everyday tasks are done does feel good. It takes the stress off. It feels good for the soul. That's the positive light of that integration, knowing that you have certain things that need to get done and they're getting done. Right? Starting to make sure that your to-do lists are getting checked off. If you have to go Christmas shopping, knock it off your to-do list, so that you're not freaking out, racing around different stores, trying to order things offline last minute, not sure if it's going to get here in time. People end up disappointed because it's late. You know what I mean? Like, just fucking get it done. Look at your fucking to-do list and get it done so that you can fucking relax. You know? So that you're not super stressed out and letting everything fall behind. This is not the energy to procrastinate in. Okay? There's going to be no one to blame but yourself at the end of the integration, right? Now, that's the big energy. There's one other square that I want to talk about, and then I'm going to get into the trines. The other square is Lilith retrograding in Leo, up against Uranus and Taurus. I really hate fixed sign challenges because they're probably the most difficult. Leo and Taurus. Lilith and her shadow, right? Because we're talking a square. Lilith and her shadow is self-abandonment. Feeling undeserving. Feeling vilified. Wondering if there's something wrong with you because other people are telling you there's something wrong with you. You need to fix this. You need to fix that. You need to be better. You're not good enough, right? You're not doing enough. People being ungrateful. Self-abandonment in Leo energy. Looks like someone who gets loud to win the argument. It's like, who can be louder? Who can scream louder? Who can roar louder? It's like alpha bullshit on steroids. It's not becoming, right? The light of Leo is this benefic, right? This bright, gracious, humble, caring, compassionate energy, right? This creative energy, this leader type energy. And so when you're in a head-to-head control battle with someone and it's who can roar the loudest, because someone's ungrateful for everything that they're doing, doesn't look good. Nobody actually wants to be around that. You might not even want to be around yourself when you're like that, you know? Put that in square with Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus is a fucking wild card, right? It's a radical change agent that aligns with the energy, right, as within and so without, and it deals with the reality. So you might have major reality shakes that don't feel good. Major reality shakes. If you're in the misaligned energy of that square, it's going to look like someone losing their fucking self-control, being on their high horse, really ego-centered, all about I, not caring about anybody else's perspective or how their behavior or actions affect other people, and radically shifting something in the reality. Like, people can't unhear what they heard. They can't unsee what they saw. They can't unwitness what they just experienced with you. It could also be people getting pissed off and feeling like they deserve and blowing money on their dang selves, right? Well, if you're just going to spend it on this anyway, then I'm going to spend it on myself, right? That was my mother's big thing. Well, your father's just going to gamble it away at the track, or your father's just going to drink it. I might as well spend it on what I want. The more I spend on what I want and what I need, the less he has to gamble with, right? The less he has to drink. And it's like that kind of energy. It's really controlling. And it causes shakes to the reality. Like, my parents ended up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. You know what I mean? Like, my mother maxed out every fucking credit card that she could open. Lots of debt, you know? Like, please be mindful. Please be mindful. If your controlling nature is affecting things in the mundane reality, you know, it could also be someone who holds all of the money, right? Maybe someone is the earner and they control all the finances, right? And someone's like, can we have this? Can we have that? Can we do this? Can we do that? And maybe they can, maybe they can't, but the answer is fucking no. And it might be for other reasons. It might be for personal reasons. Like, no, I'm not giving you this because you don't give me that. You don't show me appreciation. You don't say thank you, so I'm not fucking doing it, right? And using money as power and control over someone else. And if someone doesn't like it, well, I pay for the roof over your head. My house, my rules, you know, like I pay for the roof. It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna find a new roof then. I don't like you being controlling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like being made to feel like I'm a fucking kid when I'm an adult. Right? Someone doesn't like being overpowered, right? Lilith in her light is liberation from what is controlling or, you know, the know-it-all. And so if you have someone in your reality that's like a fucking know-it-all and they have all the fucking answers and they're trying to control everything, and it's off-putting, well, that could definitely change the reality, right? That could definitely change the reality. Great shifts to the reality, right? Because it can go the other way around. Big changes to the reality, especially in regards to the financial arena. Especially people who do like seasonal work. For whatever reason, money changes. You might notice that someone else's attitude fucking changes because you're not pulling in the same amount of money that you are. You know what I mean? They might be talking to you different. They might be treating you different. They might be disrespecting you a little bit more because you're not making what you were, or money is tight. And so now tempers are high. So just be aware of that different things going on in the reality, financial shifts may be causing a lot of stress and people might be out of character. Okay. Again, the light of that would be to liberate yourself from pride and ego. Allow yourself to be humble. Allow yourself to be grateful for whatever it is you have and whatever it is you don't. You know, just because some people have more this or more that in their life, they also have more of other things too that you don't. Like, you might not have $1 million, but you don't have $1 million lifestyle worth of stress and bills either, right? You might have people that genuinely are in your life because they love you and care about you. And maybe someone who has $1 million has people in their life and they don't know if those people are genuine or not. They don't know if they're around for the money or not. At least you know that the people in your life love you and care about you, right? They're with you for the right reasons. So remember that you can hold gratitude for everything you do have and everything that you don't. Hold space and gratitude. That is the best way to override that challenge. That no matter what happens in the reality, no matter what shifts take place, that you can be grateful for the love that you share with other people and the fact that you are co-rulers, right, in each other's lives. Now, the other, you know what? I'll talk about this in brief. The other opposition going on is Jupiter and Venus. Jupiter is in Taurus. Venus is in Scorpio. Venus is conjunct Pallas in Scorpio. Okay. She is in detriment in Scorpio because it's the opposite sign of Taurus, which is her natural house. And so she's dispositing this scorpionic energy inside Taurus with Jupiter. And this is the integration going on. There's a certain subliminal strategy, right? Scorpio deals with the subliminal. It deals with below the surface. It deals with the underworld, the undercurrent. There's a certain strategy going on inside the dark in regards to love and that ride or die energy, like Scorpio Venus. And I'll tell you, because I've got it. Scorpio Venus is hardcore ride or die energy. The epitome of till death do us part, right? And I will love you beyond this life, right? Venus and Scorpio will love you for lifetimes. If you win the heart of a Venus Scorpion, right? They will love you for lifetimes. If you mistreat them, though, they fucking sting and you're dead to them. Right? It's the complete far opposite end of the spectrum. They'll either love you for lifetimes, have your back for lifetimes, fight till the fucking death, right? To be there for you, the people that love them in soul, or you're completely fucking dead to them. And they will hold on to things beyond their expiration date, trying to revive it, right? Trying to bring the love back in, trying to reconnect those deep soul passions, right? That Scorpio brings. So Venus Scorpio with Pallas, there is a pattern, there is a strategy to that energy, even if it feels like it's in detriment, even if it's extremely painful to experience, right? And anybody who has Venus Scorpio knows the love is real intense, and there is a very difficult reality break when you have to let it go, right? When you absolutely have to let it go. And it hurts. It hurts that's being gifted to Jupiter in Taurus, which is Sag's natural ruler, right? And Pisces' natural ruler. Pisces was ruled by Jupiter before Neptune was discovered. Okay, so we're having this square going on with the sun and moon and Neptune. We also have this integration going on with Venus and Jupiter. And I feel like, especially because it's Ceci quadrate, that energy, it's not pleasant. It's really not. Ceres is quincunx makes it. Okay. If people are not your ride or die energy, if they are not in that energy with you, they're more likely with this opposition to want you to spend big money, right? Jupiter in Taurus is big money. They want you to show them that they are like Persephone, right? Venus in Scorpio is kind of like Persephone, the heart that gets stolen away from the light and taken into the underworld for these deep transformations that are wildly empowering, right? There's a lot of respect that comes along with it, but we might feel like we're starving out, right? Trying to get free. And once we get a little taste of the shadow, right, of someone else, we kind of get stuck to it for lifetimes. And so, you know, people from past lives, lovers from past lives, may be very much so taking advantage of people in misalignment. Okay, they could be wanting others to spend big time on them. Like they want to be shown that you love them with money, right? With things. If you're not spending a lot of money on me, you must not love me. If you're not giving me what I want, then you must not love me. Right? It's like this weird debt being paid from past lives in the form of monetary gain right now. The defense system, which is Pallas Athena, right, that comes along with Venus, is knowing that if it doesn't feel good, you shouldn't be doing it, and you might need to let those people go. Right? The fact that it doesn't feel good, or it feels like a knife in the heart, that all you're good for is money, right? That feeling of all they want me for is money. All I'm good for is money, right? Or all I'm good for is things. And maybe they're lazy, right? Because Jupiter and Taurus can be really fucking lazy in misalignment, especially if you're dealing with karmic partnerships. So they may want all kinds of money. They may want all kinds of things. They may want all kinds of, you know, luxury and lifestyle or whatever, but they also want to be fucking lazy. They don't want to do anything, you know? And if you're dealing with that, then this is like your sign that you're dealing with someone who's in misalignment. Right? If all they care about is money matters, and they're not paying attention to your needs or what makes your heart feel deeply satisfied, because the thing about Scorpio Venus is it's deeply satisfying. To have that kind of energy, it's like your soul is satiated. There is no longing, right? Venus Scorpio loves in such a deeply profound way that if you are capable of receiving it, your soul feels full. Your soul feels satiated. Your soul feels complete if you can actually let that energy in. It's really intense, but it is so deeply satisfying, right? So if you're lacking that feeling from your partner and you don't feel deeply satisfied, then there's something off, right? Then there's something off. And maybe you really do need to focus on stability, right? If you're going to integrate this stability with your partner and bringing contentment and reliability to what their soul needs, right? What their heart really needs deep in soul. This is about your soul is safe with me, right? Your heart is safe with me. The beautiful thing about Venus and Scorpio is, you can hand them a heart of glass that's been shattered and glued back together, and they'll never drop it. If you give them your shattered heart, they'll put it back together. It'll be more perfect the way they put it back together than the way you ever had it before it got broke. Venus in Scorpio knows how to read the heart and exactly what it needs to come back to life, right? It could take a dead heart and bring it back to life. It's forte. In order for this integration to work with Jupiter and Venus Palace, you really have to trust your value, that you know what you deserve, and make sure that you put that in the hands of someone who is capable of delivering on it. You have to be able to know your worth and what you deserve and put it in capable heart and hands. That you can hand them a soul task and that they would have no problem taking that up and doing it really well, right? This is my broken heart. I'm handing it to you. Can you handle it? Of course they can, right? That's the person you hand it to. Of course they can. You know they can, right? That's the integration. If you can do that, it ends up benefiting big time on the financial spectrum, right? It ends up paying out in dividends because the heart chakra is both love and money, right? Love energy and money energy both flow through the heart chakra. So when the heart is in good hands, the finances are also in good hands, right? Because now the heart's not worrying about whether or not it's going to break, whether or not it's going to feel pain. Is being taken care of, right? It's being protected, fiercely protected. Scorpio Venus is fiercely protective of what they're guarding and protecting, right? They're fierce. They would rather die, right? Scorpionic energy. They would rather die than break the vow they gave to keep it safe. That's why when Scorpio Venus gets so fucking hurt that they literally have to drop something and make it dead to them, they have to. It is the most painful thing. It is the most painful thing for them to do because they would have fought with it with their soul. And the only reason why they had to let it go is because it was literally killing them. And well, they want to keep going, right? So really Scorpio Venus having to move on, and it's painful experience. So yeah, that integration, big bonuses in the money realm if you can absolutely protect what is given to you, right? In confidence to protect, including yourself, right? Including your own self and holding your own heart pieces together right? Especially if you've been in traumatic past relationships. Maybe you have, possible people around you, possible potential, but if you've been there, done that before, like, you really can't settle, and you've got to guard your heart with your fucking life, you know what I mean? And not settle, not give in. Like the example I use is like, I'm straight edge. I've been there, done that with addicts. You know what I mean? So if someone drinks, someone smokes, someone does drugs, someone whatever, they have different addictions, porn addiction, financial, shopping, online, gaming, whatever addictions. Like, I keep my heart guarded. You know what I mean? I've been there, done that. I'm protecting my heart fiercely now. So, I'm not going to say, okay, well, they check off all these boxes except this one, and the one is my fucking hard ass line. Like, I can't do it. You know what I mean? So being on the light side of that integration, you really have to let go of self-sabotaging behaviors and trust that other people are worth investing in sometimes. Like, just like there's shit people in the world, there's really good ones too. And you got to be able to see your earth angels for who they are. You got to be able to upgrade yourself, elevate yourself to their level. If you did want to be in the long-term company of someone, then you might have to go through big shifts, right? Big reality shifts in order to achieve it. With Uranus also being in Taurus, there's radical shifts to the self, right? So let's just say if someone were interested in me, but they drink, well, they would have to really contemplate, is it worth it? Like, can I go the rest of my life without drinking if that's who I get? I'm either going to be worth it to them or I'm not. You know what I mean? So people are going to be shifting and making choices to elevate as well, and I think that's also a big deal. If you're in alignment, you're going to be getting a lot of opportunity coming out of this new moon. That integration is a big one. It is the most exact opposition, even with a 3-degree orbit. It's the closest to exact that we've got. Okay. So that's the biggest integration, making sure that the heart is safe, and that you're in a ride or die energy with yourself first and foremost, if you're going to find someone who is ride or die with you and not hurt you, right? Not to mention the blessings. So now getting into the trines, we have a Lilith Chiron trine with the Mars, Sun, and Moon in Sag, fire trine. And to be fair, Lilith and Chiron, it's a little bit of a rough trine, okay? We're dealing with the light attributes with the trine. There's benefits to the shadows coming forward. But with the new moon in Sag, that's a clean slate vision. It's definitely fire in the soul, right? With Mars there. Inspired action and new directions, new visions, new goals. It is going to really showcase where you've been abandoning yourself and with who and how you have victimized yourself by choosing it, right? That in order to benefit from this fire trine, you'll have to self-own, right? Self-accept where you've made mistakes, where you stepped off path, where you abandoned yourself for ego, for pride, for glory, for the need to be right. You know what I mean? All of the shadows of Aries and Leo. When you get into someone wanting to be in control, right? They could be really controlling in their shadow, both signs. I'm going to do it my way, right? I want it to work out a certain way. I want a certain person. I want a certain house. I want to live in a certain whatever. And it's like going after all these I things and kind of forgetting about spirit. Like, but what does your soul want though? You know, you've been chasing after all of these I desires, power and control, but may have abandoned may have abandoned yourself, right? Integrity. Leo in its shadow is a fucking coward. I feel like where people have failed to heal, because Chiron is a healer, where people have failed to heal the self and made certain choices that resulted in, well, not so good results. They'll have to realize where their need for control comes from. Why do they feel the need to control it? Why do they go after weak people? Does that mean that they have to face their own insecurities? Or are they too afraid to shift and change and grow and be better? Right? Cowardice, right? Too afraid to change, too afraid to grow, too afraid to give up their old bad habits, too afraid to heal their wounds. They'd rather bleed all over other people, right? Especially like narcissists and things like that. Like if they go after weak people and they don't elevate, this is going to be extremely difficult for them. Same thing with empaths, right? If they have abandoned themselves by martyring the self, and they have to realize how they got themselves in the situation. Like there were tons of red flags, you know, and they continued to martyr and continue to martyr and continue to see someone else's potential. And they, you know, were too afraid to let go, too afraid to admit they're wrong, too afraid to look at the reality. And this person is not fucking growing, and potential is just potential. It don't mean shit if they don't want to tap into it. If they're perfectly content in their bullshit, then they're perfectly content in their bullshit. They don't want your healing. You know, they don't want you to better them. Some people are truly fucking ungrateful for all that you have poured of yourself. And this is self-acknowledgement that you got yourself into the situation with somebody who doesn't give a fuck, who is just controlling and using you for all of your bright energy. You know, you hooked yourself to a vampire and let them drain your energy. Like that's what you did. So narcissists, empaths, people on the far ends of those spectrums are going to really feel this moon. They're going to need to have new vision. They're going to need to find the will to continue in a new direction and aim in a new direction. Right? New moon, Sag, Mars, new direction. You cannot continue to victimize yourself like you've been. You cannot continue to ignore self-responsibility. You cannot refuse to liberate the self without seriously suffering. Because the thing about trines is like, yeah, it's beneficial, but when you have malefics there, it can get really fucking brutal in order for the benefit to come about. Okay? Like the universe is like, how far do you want to take it? How low do you need to go, right? Lilith Chiron. How low do you want to go? Because the healing is going to be great. The healing is imminent with the three-way trine. The healing is imminent. The new clean slate is imminent. It's just a matter of when you choose it. And the universe is just going to make it harder and harder and harder and harder and harder until it's chosen. So how hard do you want to make it? Right? How deep is your victim wounds? Because you're going to have to liberate yourself from them. You're going to have to heal. At some point, you're going to have to stop self-sacrificing and martyring and ignoring the responsibility you have to heal yourself despite whoever wounded you. Like, as children, we can't help the wounds that we take on from the adults in our lives. But as adults, we are 100% responsible for healing the bullshit so that we don't leave it for our kids. Like, that's our job. So this fire trine that's going on, major, especially because the trines are also going to North Node. Okay. These trines are also connecting to North Node and Eris. If someone's got to throw the fucking apple into the mix and say, give it to the fairest, well, you've got to give that knowledge, that wisdom to what is truly beautiful in your life and own that decision and whatever chaos comes of it, because everybody else is going to get triggered. When you choose things in your highest good, everybody else around you gets triggered. The reality falls away. Why? Because the old reality was a reflection of your old self. The reality that is wounded and painful was a reflection of your own inner wounds and your inner pain. So as soon as you start to heal it, as soon as you start to take responsibility for it, as soon as you start to elevate, it triggers everybody else in the outer experience to disappear from your life. Because you're no longer aligned with that wounded self that created that reality. Expect people to get triggered. Expect people to tell you to go fuck off. Expect to tell other people to go fuck off. With love and light. Like, God bless you, you asshole. You know, like, you kind of have to let it go. Let the fucking pieces fall into place. It's not falling apart. It's literally falling into place. And people have to remember that. When we start self-owning and we start self-healing with a North Node in Aries, that's destiny's direction. The clean slate is going to put you in clear drive to do that. But you have to be willing to acknowledge how your wounds created the reality that you're in order for it to shift. You have to be willing to take divinely guided actions and trust that it's all going to work out, especially if you're being guided to do things that is not necessarily your way of doing things, right? Because we talked about that Pisces and Sun square, right? The new moon and Sun square to Neptune. It might not go down the way you believe it's going to go down. It might not happen in accordance with old patterns. It's going to be different. And it's a good thing, right? It's a very good thing. But you need to be able to take a deep breath. All right, shit's about to hit the fan. It's going to get crazy. Right? It's about to hit the fan. It's going to get crazy. And let it be, right? Get excited about the new that's coming in and the fact that you do have a fresh slate. Mercury is going to go retrograde, I think, within 24 hours of this new moon. And so if you're going to get slingshot forward, right? Because as of right now, this is the choice point where we load the arrow. This is the choice point where we load the arrow. Mercury retrograde is going to be pulling it back and aiming. Once Mercury goes direct, it's going to let go. Okay? It's going to let go. So anything that you have to wrap up, anything you have to complete, anything that needs that nice bow tied on it and send it on its way, now's a great time to do that. If you are wrapping up relationships, if you are wrapping up jobs, if you are wrapping up locations, if you're wrapping up friendships, like if you're wrapping up family ties, if you're wrapping things up, put a nice, beautiful bow on it and send it wherever it needs to go. Right? Let the divine take it wherever it needs to go. Now is the time to wrap things up, because once Mercury goes direct, the arrow is getting released. The investments are going to start getting made in the new direction, and you're either going to have it pay off for you or you're going to miss it, right? So close up your cycles. Take the next few weeks to complete things that need to get done so that you can move forward however you need to move forward, okay? With that said, guys, I'm going to let y'all go. I'm going to get some sleep. I got to be up early for work in the morning. All right. So I love you guys. Thank you to everybody who drops likes and leave me comments. I love seeing all those things. And I will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.